All right. I think we can slowly start to have a small warm-up, to have a small chat before we dive deep into the discussions. So, yeah, hello everyone. Although before we start, let me add also second guest, a star guest for today, I would say. Say everyone, say hello to Fernando. Oh,
we have.
yep, we have.
Yeah. If we could
Okay.
maybe. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now it's
Okay.
better. Yeah.
Now it works. So yeah, hello Fernando. Great to have you here. For those who don't know, Fernando is a creator of Solito, and today we will be doing a deep dive to understand more about that. Okay, Fernando has some technical difficulties, so we'll let him figure that out in the background. And in the meanwhile, let's just start out with saying, as always, hello to Ryan. Hi, great to have you here. And hello, Kishan.
I think that's the constant section of this show.
Yeah,
to always.
yeah. Without that,
Yeah,
it's like the stream didn't even start. Okay, I see Fernando is back. Hello. Quick check if everything works.
Yep. 1 2 1 2.
1 2 1 2. Okay, there's still
not yet
some issues. No worries.
No worries.
And hello, Grzegorz.
So hello, Grzegorz.
So, small short introduction. On those streams, we recently kind of changed format. We're trying to not only go through the news and the new hot things around React Native this week, but we are also doing deep dives. And this week's deep dive is about Solito 5. Let's check. Okay, Fernando. Great to have you here. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, now it's
everything
great. Yeah.
Sounds great. Yep. You even I see you even moved to a different place.
Yeah. I had to go to a very nice location. This is not a fake background generated by my Mac.
But it's amazing. I don't understand. I've seen so many people having this background replaced, and it starts to look so clean and so nice. I don't know if it's because of my background or what, but I never managed to get that nice, crisp replacement.
The trick is you got to use the Mac one.
I was trying to. Let me quickly check. What can I do here? Background. See, it's bad. It's just bad. It's because maybe of my light. I don't know.
I think it's the light.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, the light needs to be in your case, it's part of your body is super light, let's say, and the other part is basically in the shadow. So that's probably why you're seeing this weird effect that's at the edges.
No. Although thanks to that, there is a clear cutoff point, so it should have no problems. Like there is a clean slate. You can just take a mask of white balance and get that. But anyways, sorry for sidetracking. So let me quickly go back into the groove. Hi, Fernando. Great having you here. Could you please tell us a couple of things about you? Introduce yourselves for those who don't know you. And then we'll introduce Shimon. Then I will introduce myself a little bit, and we'll jump straight into Solito.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Fernando. I am currently working at Vercel on mobile. Prior to joining Vercel, I was working on a number of open source projects, which I still maintain today, mostly focused in React Native, but a number of them also support the web. And so that's how I ended up here. So the one we're going to talk about, Solito, is actually a way to use React Native together with Next.js in the same code base. And I've been kind of doing startups and my own open source work for quite some time now.
Great. Shimon, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
again.
Yes, again, sorry.
Yeah, so
rough start.
it'd be hard to kind of say the same amount of things about myself as Fernando did, because mostly I work on React Native right now. I'm mostly focused on open source. I'm the author of Rosenite, the way to load custom plugins into React Native DevTools, plus React Native Harness, which is basically a way to test your native modules via JavaScript API. Plus, I'm now working on something called Voltra, which will be live activities driven by JSX. Just like you create your app layouts, you will be able to create live activities. So that's pretty much it. And before my React Native days, I was a web developer working with, for example, Next.js. So that's probably why Łukasz wanted me to be here. As I guess.
Well, it still sounds like quite a lot. So you started with really underappreciating yourself at the beginning. And I'm Kevin. I host the podcast, and I try to do plenty of different things, but nothing really kicked off. So I might be mainly known from the podcast, but I am also a React Native developer, a developer for quite a long time, hit over 10 years in the industry some time ago. So I'm quite proud of that, even though it dates me a bit. And with those introductions, I'm going to just share my screen and let's just jump straight into Solito. So quickly, it should be screen share. And now I'm gonna do screen share and a screen share. Okay, is the font size all right? I might do a little small right here. Right here. Okay, so what we have here, it's a very simple setup. I actually just yoinked it straight from the documentation. This is the starter app for Solito. So, Fernando, could you please tell us a little bit about the starter app? And then I'm going to be maybe asking a couple of questions. Shimon will jump in as well. And let's maybe start off things like that.
All right, so here's what you have. Basically, you have a classic monorepo with an Expo entry point for your native app and a Next.js entry point for your web app. You'll notice that they are separate apps. So you actually have some shared code in your packages/app. You could actually have packages/anything you want. So you might have components or utilities or anything like that. I generally put most stuff in a single shared package, but and in this case, I called it app. But again, you can structure this however you want. And the way I like to make my code generally is by feature. I don't have like a screens folder and a hooks folder. I don't think that makes any sense to organize code that way, by like code type instead of actual, output. So in this case, you have features and you have home and user, and each one of those actually has its screen. The other things like the provider, that's just like your root provider, which wraps the whole app. And here I just kind of put all of them into one. So this start part isn't like as important. But the main thing is actually if you go to features home and then click into that file. So here you can see this is like your home screen. We obviously would need to like run yarn to get all the proper dependencies and stuff. It's fine. So basically here you have like this home screen which is shared, and if you click into the home screen, you can actually see the places where it's referenced.
I'm gonna. Yep. Okay. And we were in apps, Expo, yarn, iOS.
Yeah, you could do iOS, or in this case, probably start.
I
the
think
iOS will actually build it.
It will, exactly.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, I guess we're doing a full build here. I'm not sure why the types aren't working for you there. It's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, come on.
I actually have them on mine. In any case, so yeah, I would actually cancel this and just do yarn start, so you don't have to do a full build because the React builds are very slow. But yeah, you can leave it. All right. So anyway, if you look up home screen in your repo, this is actually re-imported in 2 places. In the Next.js app, just as a screen. And then
app
yeah, if you just go to
page.
So here we just literally, now the use client directive is actually a bit redundant here because we already had it in the other place. But here it's just like importing and re-exporting it. And then the Expo app, we're doing something somewhat similar where we're actually just going to export our navigation. So if you go to app.tsx, here you can see we export our native navigation. And if you just command click into that, this has like a mix of things. So here we have like our stack, which actually re-exports that home screen. Now the key part for the navigation is Solito is intended to be pretty high level in that it doesn't do like a ton of automatic stuff for you. You can actually like render the screens however you please. In my experience, whenever I was trying to bring native to web, the big problem with it was that every existing solution like forced too much of your website to be like your native app. And so in this case, the trade-off instead is like just create shared screen components, and then each platform implements them themselves. You know, so on native you actually import it and you put in a stack, and then for Next.js you just export it as a screen.
Okay, so I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around that because okay, so here we have packages in which we implement the screens themselves, but the navigation is basically provided by each of the apps here, Expo and by Next. So one thing I would ask, how, like, is it still regular and normal with passing props to the components just as I would do in any other? Okay, so see, the main thing I'm trying to understand and connect is that those apps won't only have a separate views and separate pages, right? Most often they will also have their own separate implementations, like feature-wise. So let's say, and I'm kind of setting this up because I managed to watch a couple of your videos about Solito. So let's say I would like to make an maybe authorization, and authorization on the mobile phone allows me to use, let's say, Apple login, and not always it will work with web browser. So how would I approach that?
Yeah, I mean, you have a number of options here. The example I gave back in the day was actually using Firebase auth. But of course you could use Clerk or anything like that. Basically what you would do is, depending on the auth provider you choose, like if it's BetterAuth or Clerk or something like that, you just have to have like a shared interface between web and mobile between the two. So in one case, you might have like a auth provider, but you might need different code for it on Next.js as you need on React Native. You just use platform extensions for that. And generally what I do for auth is I have like a provider at the root, and then I listen for auth state changes, and then I just render different stacks or screens or things like that based on whether or not the user is signed in. I don't ever do like redirects and things like that. I just conditionally render based on the auth state.
Okay.
On web, that might be a bit different, but again, as long as you have like a single interface. So for example, you might need to get the user's like auth token for network requests on mobile, whereas on web you might just have a cookie. The session is just already there. So in the case of mobile, you just have a hook that's like use auth token or something like that, and you just pass that in your network requests. And on web, that either also gets the token or just is a no op.
So I think the main problem, the main problem I have with understanding is that usually if we would have apps, we would have separate apps, right? So here will be Next, and here will be Expo. And Solito kind of reverses the idea behind implementing things. Because usually if we would have a monorepository, it would have components, but there would be I'd say, dumb components. So mainly just display, views, and stuff like that. But here, in this case, because Next and Expo are only interface to display everything and to provide navigation, most of the logic will be done on this side, right?
Well, I mean, it's kind of missing the exact point though, which is like components. You could just think of packages as like your source folder. It's just that it happens to be shared between both. So it's just a matter of how you organize code. Like components will stay kind of like these headless UI components, but then features is really where that kind of shared code lives, at least in the Solito starter, in my recommendation. But again, maybe Next.js has one form of fetching data, like maybe you're using a server component there, but then maybe you're using like SWR or React Query on Expo. It's actually also not a problem because you could also structure your components to like receive data, and then they don't necessarily know where it's coming from. So one of them might suspend with a loading state, the other one might explicitly render the loading state. And all those cases work. And I think that's why I like the Solito approach, which is just you have all this code that can be shared across platforms, but each platform actually gets to choose how to implement it. So they might have different data fetching patterns and things like that. But it doesn't actually really change how you typically organize your React code base. It's just that you have the option to kind of reuse components across platforms. But it is something you have to think about at each step.
So
yeah, if you look at this this graph, you just draw, you can put Solito between Next.js, Expo, and components. It's like an adapter for different routing solutions under the hood. So you basically provide a single screen using, for example, links coming from Solito. And Solito will basically translate those links into primitives on each platform. So for Next, it will be Next link. For Expo, it will be, I guess, some custom solution based on React navigation, for example. So it basically allows you to kind of stop thinking about whether you are going to render on web in Next.js environment or Expo on React Native on mobile environment. You have the same API on both sides.
So
like in a nutshell.
Sorry?
I said in the nutshell, I mean, I kind of tried to squeeze all the info I have on Solito. Maybe it's wrong information, but I tried to squeeze it into let's say a couple of sentences.
So one thing I wanted to ask is that Solito has the same API as the Next router, and you can use it also with Expo router, right?
Yeah, because Expo router for the most part wraps React navigation, we're able to actually just hook into it. So if your native app uses Expo router, using Solito should work as well.
So in theory, this would be a viable case to swap out Expo router for Solito. So to just have like everything contained in one.
I would actually more say that they would work together because Solito handles two things, like the patterns. So how to structure your code base, how to think about web and mobile. Generally speaking, that's actually one of the main goals that I set out to solve, is just like documenting and providing a community for people who are doing web and native. Like that's the first step. The second step is actually the APIs, like the links, the images, the hooks, the things that you're actually going to use in your code base. And what it does not provide, at least for now, is like a file-based router option and like a single folder for all your stuff, which is more what Expo router is going for. So in the case of Expo router, under the hood, it's actually running React navigation, and so is Solito. So if you have like a website that uses Next.js and you decide, you know what, I want to use Expo router for mobile, you could use Solito to connect Next.js and Expo router. So that's the nice part, is because whenever you call Solito, if you go to the, for example, on the left, if you go to the link component, if you click one of those links, under the hood, it's going to call this React navigation hook called use link to. And Expo router is doing something very similar. It's also calling something like use link to from React navigation. At this point, might have like re-implemented that part themselves. I don't know if it's actually still a direct wrapper like that. But for all intents and purposes, they follow a similar pattern when you take actions in them. And so Solito is really just meant to be a React navigation layer on native, which means that anyone else that wraps React navigation will work with Solito.
Okay. Because I'm I wanted to kind of ask about the gradual adoption. So let's say, because the examples in the example app, it starts with the components being written in React Native. And I guess I wanted to ask about, let's just say I have an Expo app, right? And then suddenly we agree with the team that we should also start working on the Next.js app. So would it be a good approach to first move all of the components from the Expo out to a separate like turbo repo, or extract them using Solito and then work on a separate app? Or like, what would you suggest the approach should be?
Yeah, I actually always start with a monorepo no matter what I'm doing. So it's almost like I think that way anyway, because you just never know what the next, even if you're just doing a native app, maybe someday you want an admin native app or something else. Like, I just think the sort of single repo world just doesn't really scale, and it's just never really real for me. Like, even for small things, I've always wanted another Target app, like doing a website, and then I want an Electron app. Like, it's really nice, especially in the world of JavaScript and React, which can basically run anywhere. It's really nice to be able to have the ability to run code on multiple targets. And so when I'm building a native app, I'm always starting with a monorepo. Same goes for web. And so in the spirit of that, yeah, it would make sense to some degree if you're migrating from just a single native app repo to Solito. What I would really do is I would start with the Solito starter and copy over your code into the native folder, and then move some code into the packages one, something like that. And you could even use like aliases to, let's say you have like an @ symbol for your source folder. You could change that to point to a different directory in packages, things like that.
Okay. Shimon?
Yeah. So basically, because what you said, Kevin, about starting with Expo and moving out to Next and potentially other platforms, other targets, you need to move this code somewhere where it will be kind of independent. You cannot depend on either Expo and Next.js because it should be kind of portable between all the probable targets you may implement in the future. So it's technically you don't need a monorepository to do so, but with monorepository you have this this ability to, for example, do some compilation process. For example, you can, for example, adapt your artifacts based on which app is being built. For example, if you need to, I don't know, I'm trying to think about some practical example, but I guess, for example, if you want to strip the compiled code from some, like, I don't know, maybe some features are not meant to be on for example, Expo app, you can technically do so with some compilation step. So it kind of scales well with monorepositories.
Yeah, I recently, like in a project long time ago, I started to really like monorepos, but I still have this mindset of making repository, and I usually just go with starter projects if I want to work with a specific technology. So would like Solito make sense in a situation without monorepo?
No, I don't think so. I originally used a single folder approach, like with Solito and like Next.js and Expo in one place and things like that. But I mean, you could definitely make it work. Like, you could, I guess, monorepo technically isn't needed. You could have like some smart like linking solutions or something. But
Mhm.
I will say the monorepo has a lot of downsides with React Native. Like the general like resolution of modules and stuff like that has been a huge nightmare. I have not enjoyed generally doing a React Native monorepo. It's been
better now.
nightmarish. Yeah, but it's not fixed. Like I still have a lot of
No,
issues with
no, it's not.
it's definitely better, but you know, it's not like on the web I just don't have these problems typically. I just install stuff and it just works.
So
Yeah, the main problem with React Native right now is that certain paths are basically hard-coded. Especially if you go to the Gradle configuration files, you will see that it tries to find some CLIs by relative paths, basically. Go back, look into node modules, go to this directory, and you will find some binary you need to use, which is fine when you have a single repository without any other code, and your app is living in the root directory. The problem starts if you move this app to some other nested directory, because then those paths are no longer like true, basically. So this is still a problem, and you need to remember that if you are a developer and you are moving from a single repository to a monorepository, that you will need to update those by hand.
Yeah.
Sorry, in the meanwhile, I'm jumping across the documentation because I had a question in mind and then I started thinking about what Shimon said. Yeah, okay. One of the things I wanted to ask, in a video I watched, you mentioned the issue with drop-downs. And not only with drop-downs, but with so many components, changes between platforms and differences between platforms are huge. So, see, sorry, I still kind of struggle with understanding the structure of Solito, because not only there are different implementations of navigation inside apps, right? So I have apps, I have Next, and I have Expo. But why there is also this differentiation for a file and the file with .native? I'm not sure if this will be here as well in documentation.
You will find it somewhere. It's definitely some. I think it's in reshaping. I've seen it in some page.
Redirects. Platform specific code makes sense that it will be here.
Yep.
See that? Oh, it was actually in reshaping. Yeah, the web, native. So I guess. Okay, one second. We have a question. If I want to create new project that target on web and mobile, when I should use Solito or just Expo? Please suggest. Thanks.
Yeah, it's really up to you. I would say if you're looking to use Next.js on the web, then that's where you would use Solito. For the record, Solito works with Expo, but I get what you mean of just using Expo, and you can use Expo Web. That's also an option, definitely. And I think that they're improving it, all the time. I think that where Solito is really meant to shine is if you want to have either now or in the future a Next.js website. And if you're looking to integrate your app at all with Next.js, which I think is probably the most powerful option in my opinion for building on the web, then Solito is a really nice option because it's fully like unopinionated in how you should do things. It's the only thing it gives you is like, here are a set of primitives that will render your code the same way on Next.js and native. And also here are a lot of patterns to make that work. Now, if you want to, if it's like just like a hobby thing that's like mostly for native and you're not really thinking about the web much, then like just going directly to React Native and not really thinking about Solito could make sense. Like if you don't even have the web or Next.js kind of in mind, because it's definitely intended to be a way to use Next.js APIs on React Native and have them shared across both.
So if I would like to add some platform-specific logic, in which project should all of the dependencies be? Going back to the project, I have the packages and the apps, and since I will be coding my logic inside features folder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where should I install dependencies?
So you could actually just install them in app directly, because everything else is going to pull in from there. So technically you should install dependencies wherever you're going to like consume them directly. So it depends on your package manager. Like if you're using Yarn, you have different hoisting limits. So you could either hoist to the root of the monorepo, which is like generally not recommended, but it's an option, which is like sort of convenient. What I would instead do is just install them in app, in packages/app. Prior to Expo 54, if you had any dependencies that were native dependencies, you had to install them in the app/expo folder. And in some cases, you might still have to do that. This is because of like native auto linking, which is like super annoying. So that seems to be sort of fixed on the latest SDK. I still need to play with it a bit. I haven't really gotten it fully working in my own monorepo, but I think in isolation, it actually does work. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is most native dependencies are function kind of like peer dependencies. So you might install them in the Expo folder, but then you like import them in the app folder. And the reason is that you just need the native code under the hood to work and get linked. So the one thing to really look out for in monorepos is that you don't have duplicate versions of libraries, especially if they're native, and especially if they're React or Expo or one of these really low level ones, like in your stack, like one of the kind of the bottom layers. So some people use SyncPack for that. It seems like a really nice solution, but this whole dependency management thing has always been the worst part of using a monorepo with React Native. There's just so much to think about. So it seems like there are definitely improvements coming there, but overall, it's one of those things where like you spend a lot of time on code related tasks versus other stuff. So this has been kind of how I've solved it. I put any JS-based dependencies, just put them right in app and it'll work. And native ones, I put them in Expo. And that's essentially it.
Okay. But in that case, if I'll, okay, it kind of complicates a bit the writing logic, right? If I have this differentiation between native, like libraries with native parts, custom native parts being inside Expo, and just JS parts being inside the app, the main app, packages/app.
But if you're on Expo 54, then you can install them in the app, and then it doesn't matter then, because auto-linking will install or link transitive dependencies.
Yeah, exactly. So the transitive dependency issue should be fixed in the latest SDK, so this actually shouldn't really be an issue anymore.
Oh, okay. Grzegorz said, I think it would be good if you implement new page in Next and Expo, use Expo and Next API to navigate between them, and then use Solito to see how it's solving differences between native and web. See, I really wanted to do that, but I'm kind of struggling to figure out a nice example case, like with
This is the perfect example case, because to do so you will need to use like conditional resolution, because you will need to use Next.js on web and React navigation on Expo side.
By case, I mean I don't want to write authorization or stuff like that, and I'm trying to figure out what would be the best.
It can be a hello world with current platform being displayed, for example.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, because like I said, you will need to use different APIs on different platforms, and to do so, you will need to use conditional resolution with those suffixes in file names.
Fair enough, makes sense. Okay, so if I would like to use inside Expo, it also supports the folder structure, right? So we can use the navigation with why am I losing
URLs.
words today? The routes, dynamic routes.
Yeah, so in this case, you would be using React Navigation's dynamic routing on native. And
Mhm.
on web, you just create a Next.js page, which already supports that, the file-based routing.
Okay, so I'm going to here, users, and there is a page. And inside Expo, I have native navigation. Oh, like okay.
Yes, the navigation part, the part where you define pages / screens, stays on each platform independently.
So you can see
Because
that the
that's
way
the
that
part.
Solito works is your screens are shared, but each app is its own skeleton which implements those screens. And so that is the part that I always struggled with prior to building Solito, is I would share some code, but then like my website had bottom tabs, but I didn't want bottom tabs on my website. Or like my website would have, height 100 VH, because that's how React Navigation works, and you scroll view. But on web, I wanted window scrolling, and there are all these little things that would happen when I'd bring React Navigation to the web. And so the solution for that was, okay, I'll make my screens be shared, and there's some complications there around like scroll views and window scrolling, which are still very difficult with React Native Web. But other than that, your shell gets implemented in each app. So that's why Next.js implements the shell with Next Router, and React Native just implements it with React Navigation, or Expo Router if you want, or whatever comes next, as long as it works with React Navigation.
Okay. Yes, sorry for struggling with understanding that, but I usually have like a very slow starts in projects when I'm trying to, figure out a setup. Then I'll bring back. I'll be brought back to speed in a second, because I only recently really understood how Expo builds dependencies, how libraries are working, how to use modules, plugins, and stuff like that, and it created this a specific virtual version of how everything works. And with Solito, it's and also like monorepos also put a specific mindset and specific way of thinking about the project. So sorry for struggling, folks. I'm an old man.
It sounds like a cognitive overload, to be honest. There's not much capacity in your brain anymore to.
Maybe it's very possible. As I said, I'm an old man. Sometimes I struggle way too much with new technologies. So yeah, the deal is here to create a new screen. So let's say that I would like to add a link, and inside,
you can start with what matters most, so the screen itself. Because without screen you will not go far.
Yeah, fair enough. So let's say I would like to make not only users, but I want to add my own profile. So I'm going to packages, features, and I'm making a new folder called profile.
And maybe while you are tinkering with it, I have a question, because I think I saw some of your talk about Solito, and I think I remember hearing that it was born as a part of a startup you were working on, something like that. I think it was called BeatGig.
Yeah, that's right. So when I was building BeatGig at the time, I was always, when I was doing that company and one prior, I was always thinking what platform I cared the most about. Was it web? Was it native? I kind of wanted to do both. I didn't really like the idea of having fully separate teams for each one, but that wasn't the only motivation. It was really honestly just the fact that it didn't make sense to me that I was building the same thing twice every time, and I was copying over all this code. At the time, it was sort of pre-monorepos being a big thing, so I kind of was either using shared npm packages or copy pasting a bunch of stuff back and forth, which was really weird. And I just had this fixation with I should be able to use the same code on both platforms. But that, spawned this big set of issues with like navigation was the biggest one, but then also little things like animations, like Reanimated sort of worked at web at the time, but not really. Now it's like much better. We didn't have any menu solutions for native, let alone on web. Like this is sort of pre-Radix UI. So there were a bunch of just low level, every app is doing the same stuff. And we can't share any of this logic that we're all doing on both web and native. And so that all kind of came together when I was working on a company before. It was basically over a year ago now that I switched from that to working on Solito more and then coming to Vercel.
So it sounds like for every problem you stumbled upon while building, for example, BitGig, instead of like creating a solution in-house and keeping it in-house, you chose to basically open source it and release as a library, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think it's just that some code doesn't feel like it belongs in app code. And of course we could have just kept it all private, but there's so many problems to work on that open source really helps with. Now, transparently, it's not like anyone, like for the most part, it was me building the stuff, but I still did get help from the community and like thinking through ideas. I have people, like a lot of people using these libraries who always help me find different issues with it or like fix them themselves. So there's definitely like a two-way relationship with open source, which is really awesome.
Yeah, but you had this opportunity to like be able to share the skill because there are many companies and many projects that they treat basically the code we create as developers as like a total secret you can't really share with anyone. But I guess if we all agree that certain parts, certain features, we all implement in-house in probably the same way, but always from scratch, then the world will be a way better place for developers to live in. Because things like Solito, for example, I guess there are many more features like this, missing like bridges between platforms, which we all implement in-house. For example, one thing that comes to my mind as an example is server-driven UI. With RSCs, it's a little better because now we can use server components to do so. But still, I feel like every company is creating like solution for rendering basically UI based on some JSON coming from a server, which is technically something like we should be able to create a common abstraction over and publish it as a package.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, maybe now going back to
I'm this close. I'm this close to understanding. Okay, so I see that I managed to do that on iOS, so profile, and you are working on iOS. But when I'm trying to do the same on the Next, I'm getting 404.
Okay,
and
so
you need
to go to the Next.js directory where you have your app.
Yeah.
And then in app, you need to create profile, like a file called profile.
All right, because
it's file-based router.
Router.
So yeah.
Okay. See, I think that was the main case of why I like struggled to understand, because here in Expo we are basically mounting the native navigation that we are keeping in the provider inside packages app, but the Next app actually uses like imports. So okay, now I think I get why I had so now I'm gonna do the profile.tsx and I'm going to just import profiles. Actually no, export, right? Yeah, export
as default, which is crucial.
Yeah,
because Next.js kind of
the one thing you have to change here though, if you go to the profile screen on the sidebar, like profile.tsx, you actually want to do /page.tsx up at the top. So in the Next.js folder.
Okay, right, because the new router.
Yeah.
You can just rename that to /page.tsx, like profile/page.tsx. Then cursor will just,
Oh, so you mean the making new folder?
You don't even have to make a folder. You can just rename the file to /page.tsx.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I forget about it. Yep, that's true.
I didn't
It
know
will create
that.
yeah.
Okay, that's a neat trick. And it works. Okay. So now I understand why I didn't get it at first. We have a couple of questions.
So on the Callstack start point, I think it'd be cool to. I got some note from Tanner that it sounds like he's actually working on some sort of Solito style solution for React Native and Callstack potentially. I don't actually have any inside info on it, but it's been on Twitter. It's been on X, so I know that there's something being thought about. So I'll see. I mean, I'm totally down to collaborate with him. The problem right now is that Solito is very specifically tailored to Next.js, so we would probably have to create a Solito start or like Solito Callstack specifically for it, and it wouldn't be like, it would probably have to be a bit of a separate library altogether because Callstack has its own unique APIs. So it would probably be something that like does the same thing that Solito does, but instead of for Next.js, it would be for Callstack. I don't have any plans to work on that right now necessarily, especially if they're kind of cooking up their own solution, which might already be that. But I'm definitely curious to see how it works. I know that we, host Callstack on Vercel, so yeah, I'm definitely curious to see kind of what they come up with, and I'm totally down to help or collab.
Yeah, recently I've seen so many announcements of new tools and new frameworks that everyone wants to integrate with everything around. And yeah, recently one of the frameworks that really caught my eye is Callstack. Like they're putting a lot of work as well into making new tools. Okay, I wanted to also ask, what is Solito using for components? Oh, it's using React Native straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, it's not quite. So Solito 4 and before would just render Vue for you on web. This is like the Solito 1.0 mindset for me. It was like, I'll just use React Native Web in place of React Native. And I would say up until recently, up until the last year, that's how I thought. But now Solito on web doesn't use React Native Web. So it uses Vue and text and pressable on mobile for like a link. And you can always customize what component it uses to use your own. Or if you're on web, it does not use React Native Web. It used to. We used to actually use React Native Web with like a view and like a custom link and stuff like that. Now it's just straight up Next.js link component on web. So if you went into the source code for Solito, which I think actually ships in the npm package, you would see that like the Next.js on web, the link component is super basic. It's literally just re-exporting the yeah, so I guess your sidebar isn't configured to.
Yeah. Link 4.
So you would have to go to the dot. I don't know if this is Solito 5.
I don't know why my IDE is very bitchy today about all of the references.
Yeah, I mean, you could also look at it on GitHub if you want, just to peek at the source directly. But this has been kind of the key fix. And so I originally did this with Zego, which is a menu library for React Native. And it basically brings Radix UIs. Oh, great. GitHub's down again. Okay. It's been a rough week for them. Basically, the way that it worked with Zego prior was it would use Radix on web, but we would force you to use these like views and texts from React Native Web. And that came with a bunch of limitations because they have their own styling solutions. So you couldn't use like Tailwind or ShedCN in a web only way. You had to do this weird configuration with like Native Wind or something like that. So that all got nuked. And that now I'm no longer using React Native Web under the hood in my web libraries for the most part. I mean, maybe there's some exceptions, but Even Galleria, a library I made for image galleries on web, it just uses framer motion and like divs, so you could be a web only library. The next piece was getting rid of the .web platform extensions under the hood. So Solito is now every file is web first. So if you import it in a Next.js repo, zero configuration, it just works. Because most web bundlers don't know what .web and .native files are, but every native one does. So actually, this is like my call to all open source developers is any library you build for React Native should be web first, which is even if you don't implement it on web, just mock it on web with an index.tsx that does nothing, and then use index.native for native platforms. That way, people just don't have to deal with a bunch of configuration issues. So that's like the first step. And the second step is Solito 5 renders pure Next.js code on web. So if you're actually just building a Next.js app and you think someday you might want a mobile app, you can just use Solito and it's identical to using Next.js. There's no additional overhead. It's just like we did export as default for our screens. Solito is actually doing that with Next.js. It's just re-exporting as of the latest version.
Okay. Damn, love that. So it kind of actually, please correct me if I'm wrong. It actually kind of sounds like from one version to another, you've been cutting out things and like reshaping instead of adding new and more and more. And actually, by cutting off things, you were providing more flexibility for users to like bring their own implementations and make the configuration smaller. There is a question. What do you recommend using for the UI layer with Solito to be able to share that as well?
Yeah, this depends. I would say the one that I have my eye on right now is Uniwind. This is a very interesting it's a new project, so I don't want to like overly recommend something that's like just getting created. But if you like Tailwind, then Uniwind is a pretty interesting project right now. You can see there the Vercel logo. It actually has docs already, I think, if you go to the top right. So they're currently in beta, and this uses Tailwind, but on native, it has the either can work with Expo Go, I think, just like, JS only, but they're also working on a native runtime that implements all this Tailwind stuff in C++, essentially, using a Nitro module that's really fast. So I've actually used Unistyles quite a bit by the same maintainer, and it's been very performant for React Native. And I would say that the big problem with styling libraries generally for React Native is they inevitably have to do a lot of work in runtime JavaScript code at render time. They have to call it React context. It's all very expensive just by default. And what Unistyles did well is it actually pulled away all of that. And so there are many good options out there. It depends what your main concern is, if it's performance or something else. And, there's a new React Native kind of styling library all the time. However, what's piqued my interest about Uniwind in particular is that it kind of takes a lot of the benefits of Unistyles on the performance front and lets you implement it on a very low level, kind of state. And it should, in principle, just work out of the box on web. I haven't dug in super deeply into this, and I've used Unistyles only for native, not for web. But I do have my eye on Uniwind right now. So I'm curious to see where this one lands. Another one I've been thinking about quite a lot is React Strict DOM. I still have something I would like to resolve with React Strict DOM, but I think the principle of it is very nice, which is instead of bringing native APIs to web like React Native Web did, let's bring web APIs to native, because the web APIs are very strong and much more flexible. Whereas if we bring native APIs to web, well, then we don't have media queries. We're missing a ton of functionality, and the reverse is much better. The few issues I have with React Strict DOM right now is you can't use Tailwind really with it. It requires using, I think it's Stylex. And then they have a few other quirks, like it only works with the React Native animated API, which doesn't even support 120 frames on native. I've actually been working with someone at Callstack to put a PR up for that. But yeah, so as for the typed routes, that actually should work now. But if it doesn't, that should be an easy thing to add to Solito. In any case, React Strict DOM is a very interesting project, and I would love to hopefully at some point like adopt it more widely if I see less runtime work happening on native. I do think that they're actually using it quite widely at Meta, which is great. So they're definitely thinking about this kind of stuff. but I think that the performance of something like a Unistyles and Uniwind is very interesting to me, because it's one of those things that could potentially move the needle in your React Native app, where each design system component has the potential to be very, very heavy otherwise, and it really scales. You got thousands of components rendered. Each one of them is going to eat up that piece of a millisecond that you just don't have to spare.
You know what? Honestly, one of the most important tidbits I will take into my heart is to start every project with monorepo, because this opens up a lot of possibilities. Because currently in all of my projects, honestly, all of my projects, none of them have monorepos, and I kind of locked myself out of easily switching up to things like Solito, and it would be really nice to have the same logic driving both native apps and the mobile version. Sorry, and the web version. Sorry, I keep blanking out because I
know
keep reading and I'm old.
So these other guides I have, up until now, I've been deciding to actually deprecate the starter apps that aren't just the template one, like the blank one, because maintaining it is a nightmare. And a lot of people have been awesome, like updating them themselves, but it's very hard for me to review. There are a ton of dependency issues. So I just am now moving towards only having one starter project. And then I'm going to have guides for Tailwind and Expo Router and other things like that.
Yeah, it makes much more sense, I think. Because so actually, what currently those other starters are doing?
They basically just have all the configuration needed to use something like Nativewind, but then Nativewind makes an update, and now I need to update everything, and Expo Router makes an update, and we need to update everything, and it's not really worth it. And I found it to be a bit more headache than anything else. Again, it's almost like it just makes more sense for someone in the community to update that, to like have their own Solito starter that uses, say, Uniwind or something like that, than for it to be in core, because someone else who's using it more will know, when those updates are needed.
Yeah, totally. Especially with all of those other libraries and projects you mentioned, adding, maintaining starters, different flavors of starters sounds like a nightmare and a very annoying job. So yeah, totally. Especially that the minimal starter project, like supplemented by documentation and the videos you made, I feel like they would be extremely sufficient to like nicely and easily start with Solito. I mean, of course, I had to have a creator of Solito on stream in order to, figure out how everything works. But as I said, I'm old, and new technologies scare me. But yeah, it's a amazing project. Like once I finally understand how it works, I feel like I could add much more than just a simple page without issues.
Yeah, it's really quite easy once you get the hang of it. It's really focused on like giving you full control.
Yeah, that's the only thing that actually caught me off guard is like the split. Where's the logic, where's the navigation, but actually, yeah, I had one more question. But yeah. With the navigation, will Solito work with other navigations? Like, can I use the Expo Navigator, for instance?
Expo Navigator.
I mean, Expo Router.
Yeah. Expo Router should work fine because it has React navigation under the hood. So using Solito's link component with it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just
as long
mainly
as the custom solution wraps React navigation under the hood, so it will work just fine.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm mainly asking because I'm trying to now understand how would it look like if this this Expo example would have also this, Expo router structure.
Okay, so you're thinking about the case when both
I mean,
sides
would
of the
I
word.
in this case would I also be like just like inside Next, where I basically re-export parts implemented in package.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would do it exactly the same way, right? Just
yes, if you used Expo Router, all you would do is just re-export those
Just
shared
this,
pages.
yeah.
So in this case of Next.js, I actually left one of the pages to not be shared under app/users, just so you can see that you can also, if you ever want to, just have a web-only page. That's the beauty of Solito. There's no conditions or anything. You just, yes, if you go in there, you'll see this is actually just like manually added here, and that's fine.
Okay.
You can actually have some stuff be shared and some not.
Okay. Yeah, see, because when you have so many options and possibilities, it's actually a bit harder to, find a way how to use the tool if the one tool has so many different uses, right?
Yeah, I think that overall Solito is meant for a mature project in sight. Like if you're going to use React Native and Next.js in a big repo and you're going to really care about building both products to be as good as possible, that's really what it's tailored towards, because that's when I've used it. I've used it for real world big use cases, very difficult projects where I don't want to compromise on native or web. I want to use the best web framework. I want Next.js. I want to use whatever I want on native, React Native with Expo and maybe with Tailwind or something like that. Solito should cover all those cases. But the goal of mine was never make the quickest hello world possible, because I think you sacrifice a lot at scale, and that's what I had previously hit a lot with the existing solutions.
Okay. So would you say that Solito wouldn't be actually recommended for a beginner developer? You actually have to have a deeper understanding of both mobile development and web development to use the most out of Solito.
I mean, I really think it's probably the most beneficial to use Solito generally. I don't know if it's specific to web or native developers overall. I think I found it the most useful coming from web when I was getting to React Native, because React Native devs going to web, it's not that big of a mystery. But if you're coming from web to native, people don't know. It's all feels so weird and new. And a lot of it feels kind of unsolved. And sometimes people just don't know how to go from screen to screen. And so bringing those kind of web paradigms to native is generally pretty nice.
As a web developer that came into the mobile world, I do agree. It's surprising that it seems easy, because at the end of the day, you're using very similar semantics. You're still calling functions. Everything looks like web project, but without this deeper understanding that all of the code I'm writing is underneath being compiled, transpiled, changed, and re-implemented into native parts, it things break without even realizing why. So kind of that's why I was asking, because with this open examples, I can now figure out that how it would work with Expo Router. But I think the main case that the main case I'm trying to drive home here is that with a framework that is so flexible and gives such a big power into developers' hands, it feels like it will take quite a bit of time until docs and communities will finally cover all the ground. Because let's say if someone would be a beginner developer, if I would like to use Expo Router, it might be kind of problematic to take out a couple of conclusions and figure out how to use that in Solito style of development. So it kind of sounds like it's both the biggest strength and biggest weakness of Solito, that it's it gives so much freedom to developers, because when the developer is experienced, that freedom will be super beneficial. But when it's a beginner, the freedom means there are so many use cases that people like didn't ask about on Stack Overflow and stuff like that. So like there are much more opportunities to hurt yourself with a tool like that.
Yeah, it's possible. But yeah, I think that people have really formed a very strong community around it generally. Like it's all very active, and everyone like has helped each other quite a lot. Yeah, and it does work with the React Native CLI. That's like the nice part. Is I saw someone ask that in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't concern itself with those kinds of low-level questions. Like Solito is essentially a thin wrapper around React navigation to make it work with Next.js. It's like it's a thin wrapper around Next.js and React navigation. That's all it is from a code standpoint. But it also provides you with like starters and examples and a whole, like there's a Discord and a GitHub and all these things that are like very useful to talk to other people who are building on web and native. At the end of the day, my goal when I started getting Solito out there was I don't want to be the only person who's serious about sharing code between web and native. And at the time, it felt like for years that was only me. And I was kind of shouting around trying to get other people to realize how interesting this concept was. And it wasn't until I had a lot of libraries that people actually used in big projects and things like that that I started to kind of see other people come up with novel solutions that I hadn't even found. Right. So I originally made Dripsy, which was the first responsive design library for React Native that would work on native and web. And then people came up with all kinds of other solutions to fixing some of the things that they didn't like about Dripsy, for example. Like maybe they wanted Tailwind, so they wanted a string-based API. And what I liked about that was like I had fixed the number one problem, which was people just didn't really think this was possible, to really build a real thing that does both. And now it's not even like a question. Like everyone knows it's possible. It's just like, what's the best option? And the discussions that I see nowadays on like, what should I choose for my web and native approach? There are a lot of good options. There are a lot of trade-offs. There are a lot of interesting pieces to it. And I think what's nice about that is like we're past step 0, which is like, is this even a thing anyone can do? And so when I first saw Solito on Hacker News, I got to like number 3 on the front page, and a ton of people were like, I don't get it. You can't really do native and web. They're fundamentally so different. You could never share code between them besides like some helper functions. And so we've come a long way since then.
Well, I feel like people were saying the same thing about React Native. Like you can't write just one code for 2 platforms. They're completely different. So it's nice to prove people wrong sometimes. And one thing I actually wanted to ask you about also, one important point for everyone listening, straight from Fernando, that we have a strong community for Solito 5. There are Discords, there's a strong community. So if you have questions, feel free to hit them up and ask questions. Because as I said, the possibilities are endless and the documentations are never endless. But about the documentation, I'm kind of curious about, because there's this huge craze now for AI and MCP and stuff like that. So how does how do the AI models manage to work with Solito and with documentation? And I'm asking mainly from the point of, I tried to work with AI models with like Reanimated 4 recently, and they are straight up lying to me that some things are impossible. And Solito 5 kind of requires a different approach to development. So did you have success with helping yourself with AI models while working with Solito?
Yeah, I think the piece that was nice about Solito 5 is the API from the model's perspective didn't change much. It's just that you got way fewer like configuration issues and errors. That was like the main thing to solve. But this is like a general problem. Like new things are not getting indexed quickly enough. I think that it like Cursor and these other libraries are getting much better at, or these other apps are getting much better just like reading the docs for some things. There used to be this problem where Solito was like kind of like Next.js. Zigo also has this problem sometimes where it's kind of like Radix, but like slightly different. And the models would sometimes mess that up. I've noticed it getting much better lately with like Gemini 3 and like Sonnet 4.5. They've been making fewer of those kinds of mistakes when I feed them the docs. So I do think there's some hope here for it to, work better. At the end of the day, Solito's surface area is pretty small. There are like 7 things you're going to import probably. And it's not, because it follows the pattern of other libraries, the models tend to be pretty decent at it.
Okay. But yeah, since the more people will use Solito and the more open sourced repositories there will be, models going to learn how to use that in the best way. Okay, so Fernando, we asked you a lot of questions today. And you mentioned that you will have to finish up. So let me quickly remove that screen, move us to this screen. Okay, so I learned from watching the internet as an old man. Are there any things you would like to plug before we finish the deep dive part of the stream?
Well, the only thing I would say for now is if any of you want to see the latest thing I've been working on, you can actually open the iOS App Store and search for V0 and check out an app that was actually built with React Native, to many people's surprise, with a big focus on it feeling native. So go ahead and check that out and just let me know on X what you think.
And of course, you can reach out to Fernando at the X handle he has next to him.
Yeah, I just got this new one. It used to have the word "the" in between my first and last name, and I just upgraded to this. It's actually been quite annoying because all previous links did not get redirected. So whoever built this at X, I'm not very happy. My old handle is still owned by me technically. If I get rid of this handle, I get the other one back apparently, but it doesn't redirect. So all my links are dead. So I need to go around and change that.
So if you ever decide to change your GitHub handle, the same will happen. No redirects. You're basically gone.
Yeah, that's why I spent like 28 years coming up with my handle that I finally use everywhere. But I know the struggle, changing the nicknames and figuring out the internet persona.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, Fernando. So thank you very much for jumping on a stream with us. Thank you for explaining this poor old man how Solito works. And I do really appreciate your patience with that.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here with us. It was a pleasure. And yeah, you heard the guy. Go, everyone, and check out the V0 on only on iOS or?
Only on iOS for now. We wrote quite a lot of native code for it.
Okay.
I'm also about to drop a how I built that app blog post soon. Very long. I go deep into all of it. So keep an eye out on X for that one.
Okay, I'm gonna be waiting up for that as well, because it kind of merges like React Native, native development, and AI. So
everything.
Yeah, everything sounds very interesting.
Great.
So to the next time, hopefully.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya. Okay, I'm gonna.
And now we are alone.
And now we are alone. I will quickly change up my setup a bit, and I'm gonna check out if. Oh, I think. You know what kind of broke my brain? I think.
I don't know, and I'm more than curious to.
I really wanted to check out a new thing, because with this mic, I'm like sending it through. Yeah, I know. I didn't stop. I'm just sharing before we switch before we go to the news, because we still have news to cover. Shimon, at least unless you don't have strength for the news. Like we promised.
I'm well prepared for that, to be honest. And Łukasz is just playing with us, as
Oh,
always.
okay. Yeah. So
You know how it is with Łukasz.
So I'm sending my mic voice through like audio interface that is not hardware but software, and I wanted to try send some the feedback on my headphones. So whenever I was talking, I had this half a second of echo of delay, and I think it was just messing with me because I heard myself so much louder.
And like, if you set the delay to around 100 milliseconds, you will be not able to talk. Like, this is proven.
Yeah,
like, if the delay is short enough, you will basically you will say and stop.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of videos like that, but next time I'll try to just plug straight into the hardware interface to hear myself instead of. Okay, I just hope that Fernando won't think that I'm just a noob pretending to work and be smart. We have a couple of. Kishan asks, do you know if React Native paper is still going to support for Material 3 Express? What is Material 3 Expressive? Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to Google in a second. And Jagger says that he is in office tomorrow if you want to talk about Solito. Okay, let me quickly change up my setup.
I guess this is basically another version of Material, because we had Material 1, which was published with, I guess, Android 5. Then we got Material 2, and now we have Material 3. So
is it like liquid material?
Hopefully not, because to be honest, I'm the number one hater of glass, liquid glass.
I like
it doesn't look good for me, to be honest.
I like to call it liquid ass.
Yeah, it's a little bit better with the 26.1 update, because now we can tone down the effect, which is more.
Oh yeah,
we had in iOS.
I noticed that currently all of my widgets and everything got darker, it just.
But you can go to the settings, then to the screen, then you will see liquid glass effect something, and if you go there, you will be able to say, I don't want it to be so glassy. I don't know the translation for the second option. Like matte.
Kishan says Material 3 Express is the next generation Material UI. It's still alpha, but it's super cool. Yeah, I'm displaying that on the screen right. Oh, sorry, I zoomed in the wrong screen. I'm displaying that on the screen right now. And oh my God, really, I turned off the echo a couple of minutes ago, and I feel like I gained 10 IQ points.
Well, it is what it is. For the next time, you need to remember to turn off before.
Yeah, because no, I wanted to try that, because I was in professional environment, you always have this feedback so you can control your voice a bit more. But with that feedback, every time I said, it was so loud in my head. I was like, oh my God, I'm destroying the stream. What's happening?
But at least you kind of know how loud are you, which is contrary to me, because I'm not aware of that. I need to fix that someday.
Yeah, I will. One day I will figure out a better setup. But yeah, okay. Let's quickly see the theming, and we'll jump into this week in React in a second. I'm just very curious about what. Oh right, yeah, forgot about that.
Down again.
Yep. Okay, so let's
it
go
works
through
on my
news.
side, so I'm not sure why it crashes on yours.
Well, maybe they just did a age cutoff. Just like in Expedition 33.
I'm routed through a different server, because I'm in Torrent and you are in Wrocław, so you're routed to the other server.
Right. Or just like in Expedition 33, they are slowly
I didn't play it yet.
It's explained in first 3 minutes.
It doesn't mean you need to spoil all the fun of
It's the whole.
the
It's the
first
whole.
5
It's
but
the
5
whole.
minutes.
It was in trailers. That's the whole like.
I didn't watch any
Oh,
trailer.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. Okay,
Nothing.
let's go through the news because the internet
because I
is
want to
fast
go
today.
back to Battlefield 6 in half an hour. So yeah,
Why not 7? Didn't they just release the 7th version?
6.
Not. Wait.
I mean,
come
if
on.
you try to order Battlefield by release, it will be 10, I guess, right now. But
Oh,
because we like to play
Wow.
with numbers, we have 6 now because we had 1, 2, then it was 242, then something like 100, 1000 something, then we got 3, 4, 1, then 5, and now it's 6.
Yeah.
Oh no, there was 2142 before the 6. So
when Battlefield 1.0 when?
Tomorrow. But yeah, getting back to the
Yes,
topic.
let's go to React.
To React
Huge
Native.
thanks to Sebastian, as always. This week's newsletter was produced by Sebastian.
Actually, before we dive into it, do you know the source of this use effect gag going through the X? I mean, it's mentioned in the intro in preface. What's the source of it? I mean, was there like?
Do you remember a couple of weeks ago there was this what blew up?
AWS?
No, not AWS. Cloudflare blew up.
It was some difference.
Yeah. And previous one, yes. So apparently, Cloudflare blew up because somebody said something in use effect on their main server. So it started, looping, and that's why it crashed. So I don't remember. It was a couple of weeks ago. They were laughing about it. They explained a little bit more in depth. So you can dive back in the history of the internet, I guess.
No, I'm going through it right now. Oh, but it was only a single service. That's I thought it was down, everything was down, but it was only a single service, so nothing happened.
Like the previous one.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not sure. God damn it! Sorry, I'm just so mad at myself because now we are talking so freely, and when Fernando was here, I felt like I was just jittering and not talking properly. I'm like, Fernando, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. But okay, let's scan through React, async React new use. What is new? What is use? What's that?
Subclasses for promises. Use is this hook, but not a hook. It's okay. So you probably know that you can use hooks only in the main body of your React component. You can use hooks in effects, and you cannot call hooks conditionally. They must stay the same.
Oh, thank you.
The use one,
so lovely.
The use one is a little bit different because if I remember correctly, you can, for example, call it conditionally, and it's kind of like a single hook for many use cases because you can use with context, and you can use use with promises, and when you use with promises, you basically trigger suspense.
Okay, this here kind of explained it in the best way, I think, because I was looking at that and I was like, oh my, it's gonna break. No, don't save that. It's gonna break. But okay, so use kind of allows you to turn to statify and reactify promises even in conditional situations.
Yeah, because just like a short sneak peek on how promises and suspense boundaries work. Internally, React will throw the promise. Like you throw errors, React will throw promises, and they will flow up through components.
Okay, so basically the use will be a replacement for doing a use effect with then and then set state data when promise is resolved.
No, it's more like if promise is not resolved, I will throw this promise, and then the suspense boundary will be triggered.
Okay.
Because yeah, this is like it's a bit different. I did something like this in the past, so yeah, you're basically throwing promise, and this tells React you're waiting for something. So Jesus Christ. So suspend boundary will be.
Did you turn
triggered.
on the feedback?
No, I was ill last week, and now
Okay.
I'm struggling with my nose.
You just started daydreaming about Battlefield.
Yep. So yeah, we can we have use, and I see they have some.
You know, I really like those small things like that, because this is, this is in theory small thing, but this gives you such an amazing syntactic sugar, and like so many codes will change because of this.
To be honest, I'm not the fan of the name.
Oh yeah, the name is shit totally, but
it's like use hook, but this is not a hook, and you can use it conditionally.
Yeah.
Like everything breaks because of that.
Yeah, the name sucks completely. Just use. No, it's why not, if they are doing the, why not use promise? Why not use promise?
Because then it's a hook. It sounds like a hook, but it's not a hook.
But it has use.
But it's not a hook.
It's
what
okay.
do you understand?
Okay, yeah, okay, fair enough. It looks like hook, but doesn't act like hook.
The name suggests it's a hook, but it's not a hook.
So it should be usant.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah, okay, but I'm kind of hyped for that. MCPPR get what? AI agent access to list of hand in Next.js. Oh, great! So MCP will be able to faster crawl through your app now.
It's more like, instead of crawling and trying to analyze the info, because in Next.js, you have the structure files and the name matter. If the name is like page, it will be page. If you have layout, it will be layout. If you have loading, it will be loading state. So with MCP, they get always like the right information out of the box, because MCP will use the same logic as Next.js does under the hood. So yeah.
Rajnish said, I want to create projects with React Native CLI and Next.js instead of Expo. And I have a very noobish question. Let's pretend I put on the feedback back on my headphones. What actually is React Native CLI?
React Native Community CLI. So if you go to React Native page and you click this link saying you don't want to start with a framework, you will see docs
so you're just
that you should
creating,
use.
Okay, so you're just creating like bare React Native project with that.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I thought that it's some sort of even newer framework.
No.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
It's basically bare bone React Native.
Okay, yeah, of course, I knew that in that case. I just got confused like old people do. Okay, Next.js PR, next analyze, you're like, okay, commands.
This one is interesting because of a single fact.
Which one?
I'm
Analyze or upgrade?
The first one, the analyze. I think I saw a tweet from CAO of Vercel saying that it was partially built with V0, which is kind of interesting. I guess the visual part was created with V0, with
Possibly, yeah.
the whole like analysis done by human, but still, like, this is cool.
Grzegorz says better Expo and Next.js. I would do +1 for that. Because
I mean, unless you have like, I don't know, some super special requirements saying you cannot use Expo, just use Expo.
yeah,
No
times
brainer.
changed.
Times changed.
Because it used to be like you always initialize with Expo, and then first thing you eject. That was the old way. Then people started noticing that Expo actually, because Expo didn't allow for native modules and stuff like that, like, you know, extending the native capabilities of React Native projects. But since they added that, more and more people are actually going back onto Expo. So Expo is something you can start with, and if you don't like it, you can just eject and remove it and go back to bare bones React Native. But yeah, I would do a +1 to that. Expo and Next.js will be much less pain going through than barebone React Native. And you don't have to use their EAS or all of the, you know, rigmarole of additional toolings and stuff.
That's true.
Yeah. So Rajnish said thanks, but this is thanks to Grzegorz for pointing it out. As I said, I had a cognitive overload. Actually, Shimon said that I had cognitive overload today, so I'm not the sharpest.
You are not only reading the code and writing the code, but also like listening to yourself.
Yes.
So it was the cognitive overload.
My inner voice was extremely loud. Okay.
Okie dokie. State of React.
So what is the state of React? I feel like I've never seen. I mean, I've heard that multiple times, but in all honesty, I'm more into React Native community and stuff like that for a past like year or 2 years, and I've never actually, you know, did anything with, because it's a yearly thing, right?
Yep. Basically, the survey is asking you to say what tools did you use this year, what you did not, and what was your experience? It was positive or negative?
So my favorite tool that I started using this year, I'd say it's Zustand. 2 or 3 weeks ago, when we had this coding with Artur, he was using Zustand, and it was so good. Like the ability to like separate logic and like reuse parts with getters, setters. Oh, it was so readable and so nice. And I started using Zustand, and I fell in love with that. So I'm gonna be replacing Atoms wherever I can and be using Zustand.
Atoms are not my friends anymore.
Yes. Friendship with Atoms ended. Zustand is now my best friend. And I'm gonna also add that I really appreciated this year. Since we are closing into the end of the year, so this year I'm extremely grateful for Expo and learning how to use native modules and plugins and writing widgets on both platforms. Shimon, what are you grateful for this year, technology-wise?
I guess for React Native DevTools, like the new one, the stable one, the one with the ability to stop at given point of time reliably, and for the ability to step into the functions reliably. Because in so many cases, I was so tired of console logs. I mean, they are great. They are super easy to super fast to add. They give you super amount of feedback, but at the same time, sometimes you just need to go into the function, stop, and go through, for example, all the variables you have.
Yeah, you know what?
Which is really great.
I do understand your point, because I've been console log debugger throughout my whole career, but only recently I started encountering problems and issues that cannot be just simply console logged. Like, I actually need to access everything and check out everything. It doesn't always work like with widgets, because they are treated as separate projects, so I cannot always post them and step into the function.
And there's other problem. I'm not sure about the exact implementation of console logs in Hermes, but for example, on web, when you console log something, it doesn't mean you will console log the state of an object at given moment of time. It's like, I want to print this object.
And you're printing that object at the moment of printing, not at the object of scheduling the console
so if
log.
there's any logic like mutating the same object, you may end up with a situation when you see different state of it, because it's like shifted in time, because it's not
Fair
at the
enough.
time of your console log call, but like after the browser is idle, after the task is done. So this is the case when you can really use console log, or you need to, for example, call JSON stringify or something like that. So you will capture the amount of time.
My problems were never so complicated, thankfully.
Yep.
Okay, but still, state of React, peoples, go and share your opinions, and maybe also, let's start a movement. I'm gonna write today on X, what am I grateful for this year, technology-wise? Raji said, if possible, please share best doc link, which I can follow for monorepo with Expo and Next.js. Honestly, I would say that the Solito
has it.
Like everything you saw today we were doing, before the stream, I just went npx Solito create new app and set this up. And if you don't want to use Solito, then you can, of course, like modify the monorepo, but the monorepo itself works. And turborepo, I think they have great docs. Turborepo with they are speeding out like the building processes and stuff like that. So I do recommend the installation. They have also examples. That's a great resource, and it helped me through plenty of configurations. So you'll even have React Native. Oh yeah, React Native and Next.js monorepo with shared UI library. Ta-da! They have a ready-to-go thing. Do they have also Expo with Next.js? Anyways, once you understand how monorepos work, you can just basically npx init expo inside, and it should work, right? More or less.
Maybe not. It depends.
More or less.
I don't want to start again the whole story about package management and dependency management, because that's the part when the current setup of React Native struggles, because it tries to find certain binaries at certain paths, which may not exist.
I just quickly Googled turborepo expo Next.js, and well, maybe this monorepo will ask at the initializations. Anyways, sorry for the sidetrack. So yeah, guys, go through survey. It's gonna be fun to see, what people are doing. Just JavaScript Remix maintainer gives their opinion on whether React are just JavaScript or not. What? What?
Parcel is a bundler, just like
no. I mean this part.
This one.
What that? What do you mean if it's JavaScript or not?
Just JavaScript. I mean, because I think the title kind of referred to some attitudes several years ago, saying that we are using abstractions, like super high abstractions. We are paying the price for it because our apps are slow, our websites are loading a bunch.
Oh, okay.
Great bunch of JavaScript, and we can use only JavaScript, only the platform APIs to deliver the same features, but without this price.
Fair enough.
So like it kind of seems like, I mean, if React is JavaScript or not.
Okay, I would add to that, best investment if you work in either mobile, web, anywhere near JavaScript, learn JavaScript. Like, because I feel like all of those libraries, React, Remix, Svelte, all of those libraries are built on top of special magical quirks of JavaScript and how JavaScript works. Each one of them focuses on a separate part of how it works, and basically frameworks are built on top of abusing like certain features of JavaScript. So once you understand properly and very in depth how JavaScript works, then picking up new frameworks will be easier because at least, Shimon, am I wrong? If you think I'm wrong, just point it out.
Abusing is maybe not the best word.
Okay, abusing is.
I mean, for example, like React, you can say that React abuses closures. That's the word I was missing. Because, like, for me, when I first heard about hooks a couple of years ago, I was like, how the fuck does it work? Like, this is a function. I don't provide any like context to this function. Somehow this function works. It knows that I'm currently rendering this particular component. And it turns out that under the hood, this is like super simple. There's a global value. There's a global variable, which is set during the rendering process before my component is rendered. So then when I call use effect, under the hood, this use effect will basically read the value of this global state. And that's how React knows which component is being rendered and which component calls use effect, which is kind of like simple, but and yep, it's still technically valid JavaScript. Is it like abusing? Maybe a little bit.
By abusing, I meant like focusing very much at certain aspect of a language. Like, I feel like a lot of those frameworks are created because somebody plays around with a technology and they're like, oh, I didn't know you can do that. If you can do that, then it means you should be able to connect this with that. And oh, wow, did I just create a framework?
More or less. I would say there's a problem. I need to fix this problem. And I end up creating a new tool for everyone to use.
So just as I said,
Fernando did. Fernando stumbled upon a problem of sharing code between Next.js and Expo or React Native in general.
Yeah.
And instead of like keeping this knowledge in house privately, he decided to share it with people.
But you do see that more and more frameworks are built on top of annoyance and anger. Like, because it's basically, oh, it's broken, it doesn't work, I'm gonna just fix it myself.
There's this meme, like super popular meme, saying that I think it was originally created because of the amount of like solutions for the same problems existing in Linux, and the people and the attitude of people. Like you just said, they're basically fighting wars on forums, writing that this sucks, this is better, this is not better, this sucks, and you know how it is. And like the same now, the same principle, the same scheme applies to React Native, to React, to web. Basically, we have framework wars. We have Callstack, we have Next.js, we have, I don't know, who else there? Remix, for example.
I mean,
and people are always fighting. But on the other hand, the last like sentence from my side, people will always fight. We fight, or not me personally, but people fight over if Coca-Cola is better than Pepsi. So
yeah, but I feel like Because with frameworks that are open source and supported by communities, imagine you work on something, and once you are fixing it, right? And when you are fixing it and providing solutions, you are learning to like it, or you understand more and more how it works, and then suddenly somebody comes up and says, "Oh, this works bad because this and that." It kind of, shut up! I fixed that. I know how it works. It's not that bad. Get off. Get off the internet, touch grass. But yeah, sorry, it was another small tangent. But React Server components with Parcel. Parcel is another building thing, right?
Yep.
Something like Rollup and Metro and Webpack and
I think Parcel was the first one that allowed me to I'm not like the first one, the first bundler. It was the first bundler to be like, it didn't require any configuration. It kind of worked. It basically worked. You created a single index HTML file. Inside you just create a script tag which references your TSX file. You could use React and TSX like
Vite does the same, right?
Yeah, but Vite is like way newer. It was way after Parcel was first created. Like it was, I would say it was one of the first solutions offering you like out of the box experience.
Okay.
You don't need to do anything, because if you I'm not sure if you had this this wonderful like experience of creating Webpack configuration from scratch.
Yes, I did.
Which is a nightmare. So
that's
why we shifted from like doing it. Well, we had Create React app in React.
This was kind of my point when we were talking with Fernando, that Webpack, basically, here is all the things you can do them. And you're like, but wait, I don't know how. And with tools like Vite, it's like, this is how you do that specific thing. And you press the button and it works. If you want it to work in a different way, we can allow you to make it happen, but press the button, it works. I press the pedal, it should drive, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that was my main point. Okay, let's pick up on pace, because the your console is getting cold.
Yep.
So tooltip components should not exist. I kind of agree. I've never seen tooltip components work. Because the low-level design system and leads to anti-patterns. I feel like tooltips were always used more of a trick to avoid or to abuse some systems than for their actual purpose. But anyways,
they are really, really bad for accessibility.
Yeah.
Because of obvious reasons.
Yeah. They don't work on mobiles that well.
Yeah. You can't really hover over.
This is a tooltip, right? Like, oh wow! Now that you mentioned that, I don't remember when I was the. Oh no, that's not the tooltip. I don't remember when was the last time I saw a tooltip. Oh, I have tooltips here, but you don't see it because I'm sharing just the screen.
Sometimes on the web you can see like popovers, which is basically like a
tooltip
popover
on steroids.
And in popover you can have tooltip, you can have dialog. Basically, popover is a family of things which pop over the page.
Okay.
For example, if you go to some page, like modern page, and you hover over a link, you will see like a preview of it, something like this. Something like exactly.
So this is a popover or a tooltip?
It's not a tooltip, I guess. It's like it has its own name.
So this is a tooltip. Oh, you don't see
we
that.
Don't see
Sorry.
It, yeah.
Okay, so that's the difference. Popover, you can see it. Tooltip, you cannot see it, because now what I see is the date, and it's on my tooltip.
It's not like this. It's like we cannot see native. We can only see what's part of DOM.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, but going back again, we are going sideways. So
you know what?
We need to focus on that.
Let's jump to React Native. Finish that with a bang. Let's skip all of the
there
packages
was
updates.
there was a single thing I wanted to like stop for a moment. There was this one React grab that allows you to grab anything, any React
Oh,
component from
whoa! Are you here?
something. Yep,
Yeah. Okay. Something
it was
broke.
on your side, I guess.
Yeah.
I was saying that there was this one React grab library, which they say it allows you to kind of grab a component from a React page and paste it into Cursor or any other agent. It's interesting how it works in practice.
Is it
So
somewhere
maybe
here?
it was in the React Web part. So
Oh, okay.
like the last one, last but not least. I think that was the last, not the last one. Before base UI, fourth of packages.
grab.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's that again?
Technically, you can just grab an element and
Oh,
copy it into Cursor.
that's bad. That's so bad. That's. I mean, kudos to creator because that's awesome. That's very cool and fun, but that's bad. Because imagine how fast now people can do defacing scams and stuff like that. Like you
It's not
basically.
like you can always download HTML. It's not
I
a
know, but
secret.
now you can, instead of downloading HTML, you can make a whole small React app and just inject all of the scripts you need. So it's a quality of life improvement for scammers. In my eyes, I might be wrong,
I don't think so.
but
But
still,
okay,
kudos.
getting
It's very fun technology. Because
getting
it's
back to React Native.
yeah. Okay, React Native. CSS grid. Oh, wow. That would be great.
And the implementation itself is not that complex. I mean, maybe it's complex. It's not that long. Okay, that's the better wording.
That's what she's. Sorry.
And I think the biggest file has around 500 lines, which nowadays isn't really that high number for a single file.
But this would be so dope. I mean, but wait, how would they implement that? Because I feel like in iOS, most of the constraints work like flex, not like grids.
But we don't use constraints. React Native uses basically absolute positioning. That's the part where yoga comes in. With yoga, we basically calculate positions for each element. So yoga
okay.
implements flexbox only, but when this PR gets merged, it will be able to understand grid and lay
I
out
think
elements.
I think that's my problem because I don't really understand how yoga works.
Basically, it gets layout nodes and it outputs layout nodes, but with positions and bounds. Basically.
Okay, so it's not like in iOS where you, for instance, render entire screen and you push constraints. You basically render all of the components individually, and then you position them inside, just like an absolute.
Well, you cannot do it like one by one. You need to take into consideration the fact that it's flexbox and children will influence their parents, so the order is kind of important. But technically, yeah.
Okay.
Like you start with shadow nodes, and then when you have shadow nodes, you can have layout nodes and any other nodes you need.
Okay.
So
reanimated preview, support for animated text inside animated text. You weren't able to do that?
No. Now we can.
Oh, really?
The old workaround was to
make animated component.
No, make animated text input.
Oh,
because
really?
For some reason, text input you could animate the value prop, and it worked, and it still works. The problem is that sometimes the style is.
Do you know why just now? Why did it take them so much time to add animated text values?
You need to ask them. You need to ask Tomasz, because maybe it's internally totally different thing, or maybe I know. I guess it's a totally different thing internally to animate text for some reason. Maybe it's available only for new architecture
Maybe it's
because
because of
Fiverr
the
shut them down.
buffers and stuff like that.
I know. You can
Maybe.
always go to the PR when it's open and go through the implementation itself.
Okay, that
Anyway.
sounds very interesting. One of those things that I would assume should be easy, but apparently isn't. Radon IDE has now a free plan for non-commercial usage. You know what is a Radon? What is Radon?
It's VS Code fork with React Native. Okay, it's not a, or is it?
Might
I
be.
think it's not a fork because technically you can install Radon ID as a plugin to VS Code, but I think it also comes in the form of a fork, like with its own icon and name. But yeah, from the like best
No,
features, the best feature is that you can basically display your emulator inside of the IDE and you can interact with it if I'm not mistaken. You can click on it.
Oh, okay.
Plus it has like quite a lot of improvements, recording, so you can always go back a little bit to see what happened.
Okay, yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
like an improvement because when I'm working with iOS, I just like put one screen into another screen because they can share space. But when I'm working with Android, for some reason Android cannot share space with IDE. I don't know why. Like the simulator for Android cannot be
Yeah,
put.
it's tricky, but the part I was interested in, so the part to how Radon ID displays, how Radon ID streams emulators into VS Code. That part is unfortunately closed source.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they wanted to take this part from Radon ID and use it to display emulators on web, like via some Node.js service.
Grzegorz
Because
says Radon ID is a goat if you work with Expo projects. Kind of looks like that. Well, I'm not that surprised that this part of the code is closed because that's basically all the clue, right?
It's the most complex part to get right.
But does it work with both iOS and Android?
Yep. You're gonna have
Right,
both
that's
emulators displayed. Oh, you see?
actually. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's actually kind of good. Can I also have my like physical device in that?
No, I'm not sure about that.
Okay, but it's still it's amazing. Okay,
So
cool.
now you can use it for free, only for non-commercial projects.
And that's a great price. I never understood the difference between commercial and non-commercial project.
To like in a nutshell, if you earn money, it's commercial. If you don't earn any money, it's not commercial.
I mean,
Or
okay.
if people don't need to pay for it, or you don't, I guess, get money from any like third party, then
Okay,
you
so
earn.
if I would use the non-commercial part and make a YouTube video, but then suddenly I hit some, special mark and I start getting money for that, did it
But
suddenly?
technically, you are being paid for the video, not for you build with Radon. So, different thing.
I hate law. I feel like law is basically programming for linguists.
It is.
But okay, mini apps partner program from Apple. I don't know what it is.
I heard about it, but yeah, I didn't have
There's
enough time to go
no
for
more
it.
info, but apps are support mini apps and games. Self-contained experiences built with web technologies offered within a native host app. So basically React Native, right?
Okay. No, not exactly.
No, come on, this isn't React Native. like built with web technologies offered within a native host. Oh, mini apps as in, okay, sorry.
Like you can download a JavaScript file or like web bundle and display it in your app, and it's fine for
Okay.
App Store.
Okay. Okay, makes sense. Dope. I like when huge companies look at the smaller projects and they help out. There was a conference in London. Our own
There was.
lovely Janeczek was at the conference. Maybe we'll see him somewhere on the.
And Michał Pieszała.
Oh, they were there as well.
Yep,
Uh,
he was giving a speech
oh
about
yes.
harness.
Why didn't you give a speech about harness?
I don't know. Like mine was rejected for some reason. It is what it is.
Yeah. Oh, and Tomasz was there. Too bad in this case that I wasn't there because I could
It
ask
was
him.
last year.
Wait, what? No,
Go down the section when they quote people.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Damn. See, today you are the sharp one. Good for you. But yeah, conference, native wind, building integrated native. That's interesting. I never understood the brownfield. I mean, I can't.
Why, or how?
No, I think it's a case of I would need to work with that project to understand it. Like I understand the idea behind it, but you need to, like, I feel like this is this type of thing you need to touch it to understand it.
Hard to say. I mean, of course, with brownfield, you fight with different kind of problems because React Native doesn't own the whole app anymore. It does own just a part of it, but besides of that, it's still React Native. So, like, main principle are here and are the same.
I didn't know that you can do OTA updates for Expo.
They have Expo updates. The official library to do so.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
And
wow,
it sounds like there was some. Oh yeah, there was some, and even the article mentioned Expo updates.
For those listening, OTA, if you don't know, it's over the air update, right? It's basically a situation where none of the native parts change, so you don't need to rebuild the app, but only the JS part changes. So you basically replace and update the bundle of JS, so you can run new code with new functionality without rebuilding and recompiling the rest of the code. So it kind of causes a bit of, I don't know, I still treat it as a bit of controversial topic. Because I feel like this is one of those situations where you only need one asshole to destroy it for everyone. Did I just stop? Okay. You know what I mean?
No. You mean something an update to thousands of users, like unauthorized update?
Yeah, a bit, because for now nothing bad happened, right? But basically, all of those big companies like Apple and Google Play, they have their inspection program process in place for some reason. And now
it's not that bad, because if you think it through, you will kind of come up to a conclusion that all the native code was already reviewed by Apple and Google. So even though you can ship any code in JavaScript, written in JavaScript to your app, you can still only use the native code you have already pushed through the code review, the official channel. So you cannot really like go outside.
You mean
of it.
permissions, right? But
not only
still,
permissions, but like if
you
your
can-
code doesn't include your native code doesn't include any methods to delete files, no matter how JavaScript will look like, what you will do in JavaScript, you will ship to the users, you will be not able to delete a file because there is no native method to do so.
because it's not added to the compiled. Okay.
And if you add it to the compiled, then Apple will see that there is a method which tries to delete some files, or which may be used to delete some files. So it's a gray area
Okay.
because technically, for example, it can be used to pass the review, and then you can ship some
Abuse the permissions, basically. So let's say you have a photo app, right? And as a part of permissions, you require access to the camera. But since you have an access to camera, you can take pictures. You can then replace the JS bundle to take, let's say, 2 pictures.
Yeah,
there are still limitations because you can't take a picture when a phone is, turned off, or you can't take a picture. Like JS works on a different rule set on top of the native parts, but still, that's I still, when I see OTA, my spider sense is tingling because I consider it kind of controversial, a little bit.
It's gray zone because, for example, technically shipping new features via OTA is against the rules of App Store.
That's why I said that we are one asshole away from breaking it for everyone. Like whenever you see no running on the pool, somebody was running and hit their head. Okay, building an AI-powered node-taking app in React Native image. Okay, about that, I'm gonna show you something in a second. How do EAS workflows? That's interesting. But sorry, I'm not gonna like deep dive into that because the articles. Going universal from brownfield React Native and JS Stack to Rajnish, are you still here? Look at that. You have an entire article about
user story about
going from React Native and Next.js to one Expo app. So something you might need at some point. Okay, so listen. The rest are packages and a couple of videos. So I feel like we covered the most important parts. I'm just going like in the pub. One last call. Anyone, if you have any questions about anything, either something we covered or something you're curious about, hit up the comment questions, the comment section with your questions. And if not, then we're gonna slowly let Shimon go play Battlefield.
Eat first.
Eat first. Oh, okay. I thought you mean the movie. I thought you mean the movie It. And there was this one thing I wanted to show you because there is this. I'm gonna quickly Google that here on my phone. Oh, okay, found it. It sounds so interesting. Did you see that plod?
Jesus Christ, another.
So this is a tool, but it's getting a bunch of really nice reviews. So this is basically a small tool. You like it kind of like they are even selling phone covers with like place for that. You can see how big it is comparing to the phone, and it integrates with your phone. You basically click play, and all it does is it's transcribing your speech with diarization, with segmentation, so it separates who was talking and turns that into text. That's all it does. So it doesn't try to overpromise and underdeliver like many of those AI products. It doesn't offer you any like magical or thinking abilities. It's just transcription on steroids. and apparently it's very, very cool thing. So I'm really thinking about that. And it's
And
not
it's on
that
sale.
expensive. It's not expensive. Look at that. It's like 600 zloty. So
I mean, if you need a recorder with transcription, then go for it. I don't
it's
have
something it's something I always thought about, because I don't like listening back to recordings. I prefer reading. But yeah, it sounds
but
like
you
a
can
super
get the
dope
same.
thing.
You can get the same, like with I don't know many services right now. Even Gemini can transcribe and provide notes. So it's more like when you meet in person, then you can use this. Put your phone down with this blow thing, click play or record, and that's it. But if you are on a virtual meeting, you have way more powerful tools at your hand.
You could say similar thing about ebook readers and the regular book. You don't really need that. And yeah, maybe
it will not work unless you talk with somebody via speakers, loudspeakers.
yeah. I mean, more like, let's say I want to make a quick note to myself.
But please yourself. I just bought
That's
today.
very.
I just received today. I don't have the thing, but I have the the case for it. So I think it's O10. That's the pronunciation.
What's
So
that?
it's basically a portable espresso maker. Like you can take it when you go hiking, and you can have espresso on the run. Let's say. Yeah, the thing is, let me maybe. The thing is in another room, so you will not see, but you can see the instructions here.
If I would be hiking and I would see you take out your espresso making machine and make yourself an espresso while hiking, I would pass you and I would think to myself, what an asshole.
I tried it today, and it's good. I mean, I need to buy like a bigger place for coffee, like a bigger pack, because the default one is small. It's 6 grams of coffee, so it gives you like 1 espresso, which is not enough. Personally, I like at least 2. So we can buy a bigger bag, which fits about 12 grams, and then it's way better. So yeah, that's something I need to still buy. But it's a good stuff. If you need it.
I would pass you while I'll be hiking, and I would press my plod device, and I would say, I just passed an asshole while I was hiking.
Exactly.
Okay, Szymon.
Yeah, so I guess it was a perfect outro. Yeah,
exactly.
Perfect outro.
How technology is turning all of us into assholes with note-taking devices and espressos on the hike. But with that being said, let me go back to a magical, different view. Stop sharing, stop oversharing. And yeah, so dear peoples, we've reached the end of the stream. Thank you so much for participation. I hope you enjoyed what we presented to you today. One more time, sorry, Fernando, for being brain dead first hour, but I didn't know how much impact on my brain would have a small echo of my voice inside my headphones.
Next time we will reduce the delay to 900 milliseconds.
I clicked
each stream will go down.
See, but no, the problem was that I clicked all of the required things to remove the delay, and it was working correctly. But then when I started turning on Expo and Next, it slowed down a bit, and I didn't even notice when the delay started happening. So with that being said, Szymon, thank you so much for supporting me on this stream. Sorry?
For filling in.
For filling in. You did great as always, and you were such a great help. Like I didn't stress at all thanks to you. So yeah, and
that's it, everybody. That's it. We can go home.
Yeah, that's it. You can go warm up your meals. Have a nice day.
We can play Battlefield 6.
Yes, prepare for the weekend. Oh, by the way, maybe when we'll be closer to Christmas, maybe we could do some online tournament. Like all of the people from the stream, let's play games.
I think I know the game exactly, which we will play, and it's Quake 3 Arena, because it's like
in the browser.
Somebody ported it.
To my web. God!
I think I played it like some time ago.
This would be a perfect ending to the stream next week or 2 weeks. Like we have quite a bit of people listening now. So if we would all jump on to play some Quake, yeah,
it works. I'm not sure if multiplayer works because I have it now running.
But anyways, something food for thought for the future. But with all of that, let me play where do we have the outro? Is this the outro? Let's say that this is the outro. I think I said thank you to everyone. I think I summarized everything. As always, I'm going to post a short summary of the stream on X, where you can find us under those tags.
Handles.
Yes, exactly, handles. Plenty of people told me other way.
It's on my... Okay, because it's...
You have reversed.
I always forget that it's reversed on my side.
Yeah.
So it's there? Wait.
Yeah, exactly. And plenty of people told me that my nickname, that my tag is awful, and they hate it. And it's super annoying to write.
Q1W1N.
Yes, it's spelled Kiwin.
Kiwin.
No, because that's how people call me, the native English-speaking people, Kiwin, because I have W in my name. Anyways, Szymon, go play games, eat something. Thanks you all, and that's all, folks. Thank you, and see ya, hear ya next week. Bye-bye.
See you next time.